Are there instances where the pastor said no? And
No,
how
she
that
couldn't
treated?
say no. The husband will be rotating from one wife to the other. Each house was to pay taxes. There were thieves coming to steal African lands. Like a king of Belgium killed over 50 million Congolese.
Hello and welcome to another episode of AfroKin, Our Kin, Our Truth. I am Sharon Amendi, and today we are looking at pre-colonial African structures. And with me, I have a very, very important guest. He is Obat Masira, and he's the CEO of Mama Grace Onyango Social and Cultural Center, but I'll let him introduce himself. So stay with us as we look at what African families were like and what values shaped African families and what we can borrow for our modern families.
Thank you very much. My name is Obat Masira. I'm a theater director. I'm based at Mama Grace Onyango. I've been involved in theater for many, many years. And I also love history. Yes.
So thank you so much for being with us today. And like I said, today we want to look at pre-colonial African structures and really learn what is the truth about African families back then. Because we have very many narratives that are going around and imaginations and stories about what families are in African context. And so I'll start by asking, in African culture or African context back then, how were families defined? Who made up a family and how did that look like?
Yeah, thank you very much. Africa, in the pre-colonial Africa had an extended family. So it was a family that comprised of grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, community. Everybody had a role. So it was a complex society, a society that involved everybody, and everybody had a role to play in that society. Yes.
And so right now we're seeing a move towards looking at it in a linear manner. What exactly will we miss out as the young people if we intend to look at families in a very linear way?
So first of all, we'll miss a lot in the sense that the parents had the history, they were the museum of the society. So like the grandparents played a critical role in terms of the transmission of the knowledge about the society, the heritage. The parents were also equipping the young people with skills, mentorship skills, so that they could be good artsmen, they could be good hunters, they could play some different roles. The aunts also played some roles in terms of storytelling. Then we had the mothers. The mothers also trying to educate young people, imparting certain knowledge that would be critical in their day-to-day life. So it was a greater society. So if at all we move to the linear society, they're going to miss information, particularly historical information about who they are. Yes. So everybody, it was a bigger society that played different roles. So the linear society, I think it is a colonial mentality that came to us during the colonial time. But in the past, Africa was a collective society. Everybody played a role. And even the broader society could correct children. Children were not just children because of biological aspect, but children belong to the community. And therefore, the community also had a role to play. So that is my feeling.
Okay, and I love what you've said at the end, that children were not just biological.
Yeah.
Were there systems of, one getting into a family that is not born of lineage, for example, adoption, fostering? Were there such things in African setting?
Yeah, there were. Like now, sometimes there could be inter-community wars. And sometimes there could be people that could be, as as a, let's say, as a consequence of community wars, some people became captives. So these people were easily absorbed. So basically, it was a society of inclusiveness. It was not a society of exclusiveness. So like marriage also linked people to other community. So the community was, I would say, a community was a community of inclusiveness. Everybody played a role. Yeah, like, like let's say in the Luo community, like the first wife played a critical role. As the first wife, she was Mikai. Mikai had certain roles to play. She was actually the ambassador of the co-wives, and she could also impart certain skills to the co-wives. So she played a critical role. And then again, people were collective in the sense that the broader community you had, then you had security. Children would play a certain role as part of the security. Then there was also the issue of expanded manpower, because people relied on farming. People relied on collecting water from the rivers or the lake. So they needed many hands to help them achieve that mission. So, and then again, there were also aspects of orphans who could also be absorbed into the community. So society generally was, I would say, a collective enterprise that everybody had a role. And that is why the people relied on each other. Actually, it was a collectiveness. There was also insurance. You know, people played different roles. So if at all there was a problem, community would solve. If there was also conflict, there would be conflict resolutions. And there were setups, there were courts, you know. And then there were also schools, you know. Children were being taught of what you're supposed to do. The girls were also being taught how to conduct themselves, how to avoid having premarital sex, and all these kind of things through their hands. So basically, the pre-colonial society did not preach about linear society. And of course, there are also deaths. So the bigger family, that meant that you had economic security, you had health security. So in case of death, the family still could survive.
I like that you've gone into and specified that everyone had roles back then, because a lot of the feeling that we have also is that women back then had no power, had no roles. Their function was just to, you know, listen to their husbands and basically just take care of children, and that's it. Is that a true representation of African families?
I think that was the colonial mentality. Women had specific roles. In other communities, in the African community, maybe like the Nandi or maybe Ekegusi, and maybe in West Africa, the barren women were allowed to also to marry if they were wealthy, so that the lineage of the parents, women had respect, women had specific roles to play. Yeah.
Maybe when you say about the barren women being allowed to marry, maybe you can just expound on that.
Yeah, there were certain community where a woman unfortunately could not give birth to children. So in the Luo community, this woman would be given children to foster as a mother. She had a role, and she was also respected vis-a-vis that she was not able. But in other community, they're also allowed to marry so that the lineage continues. Yeah. So like, let's say, like now, they brought in what is called wife inheritance. Like if a husband died and a woman became a widow, she was also given the powers to select amongst her brother-in-laws who is closer to her, who will take over, because they wanted to promote that lineage. She was not allowed to have a lineage from outside. So women actually had powers. And particularly the first wife. Yeah, she was a steward. She played a critical role. And those days, if her husband wanted to marry, she had to consult the first wife.
Are there instances where the first wife said no? And
No, she couldn't say no because it was something that was part and parcel of the society. And they wanted a bigger society because the bigger society you had, that was social security. It was also health insurance. And again, when people want to do the work, and the work was communal, there was a lot of farming. So you have a very big force to support, and through the working within the farm, then that would also create economic empowerment. So everybody longed to have a bigger family or a broader family. Women at that time, before the Europeans came, there was no selfishness amongst them, because they brought those kind of, when they came, they started fighting polygamous family. They were denied this and that. So that was a challenge. But basically, women grew up knowing very well that, and people aspired to be the first wives, because that was a status. Yeah.
And because the first wives had so much power.
Yeah, she had so much power. And she was also a disciplinarian amongst the co-wives. Yeah, she played, I think, a critical role.
And that power, did it also go into decision making, and even because then the representation right now is that men made all the decisions, but then we're seeing a community where everyone has roles. So did that power translate into also decision making?
Yeah, I think women played a critical role. There was no meeting of elders without women. Yes. And even the African court, women were there. So I think it is the colonial mentality that changed the perception. So that relegated women to household. Before that, women played critical role. And like in West Africa, most of the kings were women. In Ghana, in Angola, women played critical roles. Yeah. So they became queens. They became, like now in Egypt, we have Queen Cleopatra. Yes. We have Sozao in Nigeria. Yeah. And she was also gifted. She was also an architect. She could create a wall enclosure. She defeated the British. So the women were in war. And women were also general in different parts of Africa. Yeah.
And it's very interesting that you say that. Actually, I didn't know a lot of that, but also that you've gone into other roles of women that right now, currently, we don't know about that they had in a traditional sense. You've talked about being an architect. What about the other roles in the community? I don't know about either rainmakers or something. There's other roles that are not considered important right now, where women actually played in the in the African setting.
So, like, to be a queen, to be a king, those were rare status. And in West Africa, majority leaders were women, who were queens. Many. Then even in Central Africa, a number of women played a critical role. So, like in this community, there were women who were also, they were seers. They could foretell, they were prophets. They could prophesize what was going to happen, wars. Women really, really played a critical role. Women were never looked down upon before the Europeans came. Yes. So women played critical roles in the society.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because we were just trying to remember who Mekatilili Wamenza was.
Yes, that was also a warrior.
Yes.
And she had to be killed. She was, I think, taken to Seychelles. So this was a woman who could mobilize men to fight foreigners. And there were a number of them. And particularly in West Africa, there were quite a number of women who played critical role in terms of emancipation, in terms of liberation. Yes.
Oh,
even in terms of singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So women really, really played a critical role even in terms of medication, there were doctors, there were healers. Yes.
I think that's very encouraging for
Yeah,
some
even
of
in
us.
the contemporary society, I would look at, let's look at Kenya in terms of literature. A number of women played a critical role. People like Grace Ogot, people like Asana Thodaga, Margaret Ogola, you know, they could use the media of the pen and transmit those knowledge in a way, in a very poetic way, so that the young generation, so that was a way of knowledge transmission. So they played, women actually women were not just women like the kind of contemporary we have. Women were also leaders. Yes.
Okay.
And they played critical role in the society. They were highly respected. Yes.
I think that's very, very encouraging to hear, especially that African families valued women and that we had positions.
Yes.
And not what we keep hearing that, in the African setting, women had no say. And yeah, so I think that's very encouraging. And speaking about women and their roles, we do know that even in the olden days, there were, and you had alluded to it before, the situation of barrenness, but there are also women who would just not have children, or women who were not married. Now, right now, it's very stigmatized if you're either of the two, if you've chosen not to have children or if you're not married. How was it back then?
Yeah, I think in the African community, there was no stigmatization. Everybody was welcome, whether you are less fortunate. Like girls who were not married, they were also given space within their homes. They could be buried. So actually, women in the pre-colonial time, there was no discrimination, and people relied on the broader society. Everybody had a role to play. Yeah, and even if you are married and you're having problem, then you'll be recalled and be given a space within your home.
Are there other groups or people who do not fit into the conventional family setting that in the African, during the African, traditional setting, that did not fit into that, but were accommodated in whichever way?
Yeah, I think there were a number of people. People would be accommodated. Like I said, there were wars. Sometimes they were captives. People would capture girls from the other community. They would be married into this community. There were also people who were slaves that were also co-opted within the family. So once, like the orphans, so I would say that the pre-colonial, it was an inclusive society. There was nobody, there was no discrimination. Yeah, they would be all accommodated. Yeah, irrespective of your social status, you'd still be accommodated. Yes.
And you also mentioned something about girls being taken aside and being taught, on matters sexuality. And I'm imagining also maybe the boys would be taken aside and talked about that. One of the things that we're seeing right now is that there's sort of, or sexuality is sort of like a taboo topic to go to. But then in the African setting, we know that at some point there were these discussions in whatever format, in whatever form. Is that the position, and how was it carried out?
Yeah, so for let's say there were two places. There was Siwinde. Siwinde is kind of a house for a grandmother. So this grandmother, the young girls would be brought in the evening for mentorship, and this mentorship took this format of storytelling. So within the storytelling, there was music, poetry, and then also telling them, and they would also be using, let's say, like the animal, to tell their story, the folklore. So this would be telling girls about to be careful about this and this, and they were being prepared for marriage. And even told if they were supposed to have, if they were supposed to come together, they would be told how to do it so that there would be no pregnancy. you know. So they were being prepared to be wives. And also, again, they were also being prepared about, there were issues to do with cleanliness, hygiene, cooking, and also public relations, how to relate with the people, you know. How do you use your face to smile? How do you use your voice to welcome people? These were talents that they were used. How would you use your face to lure people? How would you use your voice? How would you talk to people? And how would you relate with these age groups? You know? So they were being taught those mannerisms. Then for the boys, they were also being taught in how to be brave, how to be brave warriors, how to be leaders. So leadership skills would be transmitted within those positions. So basically, there was education. And education was taking different format in terms of mentorship in the evening. And then again, how would they relate with their neighbors? In terms of conflict, how would they also be given the skills in terms of mediation? How can they resolve conflict? So people had different roles to play. Yes. And in all these roles, women played a cardinal role. Yes. Even in terms of worship, women played a role. They were healers, they were doctors, they were also leaders in terms of chiefs or kings or queens, whatever at that time. So the society recognized both sexes, male and female. And people would, there was meritocracy. People would be identified in terms of, or like even in singing, what role would they play? So basically, I think women played a central role in my understanding.
And still on the same topic, because then I'm imagining there would be a case whereby, and even in a polygamous home, where maybe the women all had small children who are still breastfeeding, and there was that caution of not to bring in, or not to get pregnant while you're still breastfeeding. Were there ways in your community or any other African community?
Because one thing, like in a polygamous family, there is an organization.
Yes.
And it is the first wife, the man is in a bila. The husband has a space called a bila. Then the first wife would know when the other woman is ready for the visitation. So he'll tell the husband that, oh, Nyalego will be ready on such and such a date, so that the husband will be rotating from one wife to the other. So you will find that when they give birth, they will almost give birth more or less at the same time. Yeah. And usually they would take 2 years when you look at that. So there was that kind of family planning in a natural way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was that natural way of family planning. So it was the role of the first wife to know the times of the wives. So he'll tell the husband that today, visit so and so. She's ready. Yes.
That's, again, very, very interesting to know that at least even back then they understood, the concept of regulating or having that family planning in place, even if it was natural. So with all this that we've discussed in terms of the how African setting was, at what point did colonialism come in and disrupt? What exactly did it disrupt about the African life?
Yeah, so first of all, I think colonialism came to maybe this region around 18-something. So the first thing that they disrupted was community way of life. First of all, they started fighting polygamy and the collectiveness. So they started imposing taxation, more taxation. So they wanted to bring in linear family that could be easily manipulated. Then again, they brought in the school, they brought in the missionaries. So within that, they started castigating those things as backward, the heathen. and they could be punished. So you could not go to a school if you're coming from a polygamous family. You could not be baptized if you're coming from a polygamous family. You could not take sacrament. So all these kind of things negated towards so they started fighting the fabric that held the people together.
Yeah.
So they cut the fabric and people fell apart. So after people falling apart, they started imposing their culture, you know. So these other cultures were hidden. So they brought in their cultures of, you know, nuclear family. This is not right, this is wrong. Then they also brought in the labor. So some people are supposed to be removed from one point to the other to work for them in their farms, in their mines, you know. So those are the kind of things that really, really created disharmony in the African society. And now people started borrowing their way of life. So as a result, the collectiveness was killed. There was no extended family that was allowed. If you had an extended family, there was punitive measures. Each house was to pay taxes, you know, taxes, hard tax.
Yeah.
So each house was to pay a tax. So then again, the family started breaking, because now we could not also accommodate the children who are maybe orphans, the captives, the other workers who are depending. Then again, the social insurance had to die, because in the previous years, people lived in that collectiveness, the broader society. So in case of death, people worked towards sending the dead body. In case of sickness, people also, you know, like even if there was famine, the maternal uncles could come in and chip in. So people used to pull in together. So I think those were the challenges that the coming of the colonialism brought.
Yeah.
And that is why there's a difference. You go to Asia, because there was no slave trade or whatever, the cohesiveness is still there,
Yes,
because the cultures were not tampered with.
Yeah.
But our cultures were tampered with seriously.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there was also the coming of the church, the coming of, and then whatever we did, they were saying were primitive, barbaric. So they brought their civilization, which was not something that our people were used to. So that is what really, really also affected us greatly.
Could you say that's also what affected in terms of, because we said women were queens back then, women had these various positions, and now we are not seeing that structure anymore. Is that part of
So
what disrupted that?
the first thing they did was to fight our strength. You know, when they came in, there was already structure like Zimbabwe. We had the great Zimbabwe walls. We had the pyramids. In West Africa, we had the Queen Zazao. In Angola, we had so many queens who fought them, but they killed them. So once they actually, first of all, they killed our heroes and brought in their puppets, the people that they could manipulate, and they destroyed the structure, the fabric that was holding the people together. Yeah, so that was the first thing they did, and then through the religion, that then there was that mental slavery, you know. So they were able to impose, and through school, they were now able to impose their culture, which was against polygamy, which was against the extended family, which was against so many things that the Africans really, really cherished and celebrated. Yes.
And actually, now that you've said that, it's all coming home, because then it means that the definition that we give to family right now, the way we look at family right now in a linear way, is actually not in the African culture.
No, that's not
It's
African.
something that
That's
came with
Europeanized.
colonialists, yes.
Yeah, it's Europeanized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the risk of that? What is the risk of us, even us as young people, taking up that definition of family to be very linear, whereas in African setting it was very inclusive? What is the risk of that?
Yeah, first of all, we have lost our history. Then we end up being slaves. We do not understand who we are. So like now, when we are reading the history books, we are seeing people like Livingstone as explorers. Yet they were thieves. They were thieves coming to steal African lands. But the way they were being, brought out, they're being brought out as saviors. So there are so many things that they did the damage. So first of all, like, look at Africa. If the Europeans never came to Africa, Africa would be great because all the minerals are bestowed in Africa. Through the slavery, they took Africa to those diaspora.
Destroying our families.
Yeah, and then even those diaspora, it was Africans who built those places without being acknowledged. They were killed without reparations. So there's so many things that, so the first thing that I think we should need to do is to equip our young people with history about who they are and bring out the perspective of the European, how they exploited, how the exploitation, like a king of Belgium killed over 50 million Congolese. Yes. And Congo is the richest country in the world, and yet the poorest. Yes, they still take all the gold, and they keep on creating war amongst themselves. In Congo, there was a queen known Chimpa. She fought the Belgians and defeated the Belgians. So, but they found and killed her. She was more or less like the rallying point. Yes. So then after 60 years of colonialism or more 100 years, so the Africans, they changed the narrative. So people believe that they're our saviors, yet they were our exploiters. And they destroy the family fabric.
So actually, now what I'm hearing from you is that as Africans, as the young people who are starting to have families right now, we need to interrogate what truly is African and what came with colonialists, so that we are not mixed up about our own culture, our own values, and not taking, what the Europeans have put for us in terms of this is how you define families, right?
Yeah, that is true. Like if they say our cultures are hidden, they're barbaric. And they're barbaric because Christianity does not accept polygamy, family. So they don't accept the extended family. So this society had ways of, they created their own institutions of accommodating everybody. It was an all-inclusive. If you're a mad person, if you're mentally challenged, you're a man, they'll make sure that they'll get a woman for you so that you also live a normal life. So you love. And if you could not be able to give birth, there were also mechanisms of how, so you could be protected. Yeah, so the society was all inclusive, and everybody was respected vis-a-vis your challenges. Yes.
Okay. So as we wind down, because this has been a very, very interesting discussion, but sadly we also have to come to an end at some point. What would be your parting shot, especially to the young people who are having families right now, vis-a-vis just knowing or understanding where African culture stands as far as family goes?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think my parting shot is that we need to inculcate the importance of arts and culture. So through arts and culture, through performing arts, through films, through storytelling, we can create those we can recreate the past. Then they can look at the past and see how the past was interfered with. So, like, I think the Media Lab can play a critical role through creation of films, storytelling, so that the young people can get opportunity, because now they live in the estates. In the estates, we don't have those. We don't have those facilities, and there is a problem. So the only way out would be through the medium of arts and culture. Yes, and then there would be change, the mental change. Yes, it can still be recreated. I strongly believe so.
Thank you so much for that, and I think you've had it all. I don't have anything more useful, let me say that, to add after you've heard from the expert himself about the importance of African culture, the inclusivity, and the role that arts can play in getting the young people to understand exactly what was the African culture without colonial interference. So again, that was our guest, Obat Masira, and I'm Sharon Amendi, and this podcast is sponsored by KMET, which is an indigenous organization based here in Kisumu, but working in 44 out of the 47 counties, looking at how to uplift underserved communities. Thank you.